So we have a special treat for you today. We have Lee Lambeth, who is our VP of Retail Operations at Mercatus. And I'm super excited because Lee has, first, not only has he recently joined Mercatus, but he's also bringing a lot of history and a lot of knowledge and experience in grocery retail operations to the company and to our clients. And I've asked Lee to come in today to answer some questions that we've been percolating on within the company and conversations we've been having with a lot of regional grocers around the U.S. So before we get into it, Lee, welcome. I'm super happy you're here. If you could just give our audience just a rough idea as to who you are and why you're so special.
Well, thank you, Mark. Excited to be here with you this morning as well. And thank you for that introduction. Yeah, so I have spent 30 years working as a grocery retailer, primarily in operations. Held a lot of different positions over the course of my career, from store manager to regional merchandiser, division director with 25 plus stores, 1,200 people at one point, and director of e-commerce operations. So the majority of my career was spent in e-commerce and in operations, or excuse me, rephrase that. The majority of my career was spent in operations for retailers, and really, hone my skill set around best practices, process improvement, and ways to really, elevate efficiency, profitability, all the different elements of operating within grocery retail.
One of the really critical things that we saw in our business was, we lacked that knowledge and experience. And, when we had the opportunity to have a conversation with you, we knew right away that it was a slam dunk. And the fact that you're a great fit and you jumped right in with both feet into our business, and clients love you. So really happy you're here. Now,
well, thank you.
I want to touch on what we've been talking about, really trying to get a good handle on as far as our clients go. Technology is one thing. And, Mercatus has always been known as a technology company, but we also understand that technology is only half of the equation. Implementing and operating the technology, regardless of whether it's a commerce platform or a POS system or supply chain inventory management, operationalizing it is critical. There's no shortage of advice, available to grocers on implementing technology strategies, in our case for e-commerce, but that's where the guidance seems to end. Can you give us some indication as to why that is?
Yeah, Mark, that's a great question. And I think it's much easier to talk in theory than it is in practicalities when it comes to e-commerce. So when you're talking in terms of strategy, it's do this, do that, and it should work. But that's not always reality, right? I mean, you have to talk about taking those theories and putting them into play. And when you talk about optimizing an existing e-commerce implementation, it's about practical steps. And that requires operational experience and a deep understanding of retail capabilities. It's not going to be as easy as one thinks. It's not going to be, hey, if we do A, then the result should be B. It's going to be a little bit of trial and error, a little bit of understanding what works best for you as a retailer. What I think that we're able to provide to our retail partners is kind of that understanding, going through those trial and error phases throughout my career personally. What are best practices? How do you get to those end results that you're seeking? Versus having to go through that trial and error process. We've done that. We know what works. We believe we have a process that we can walk a retailer through with a number of different offerings and options that can help them to implement the best operational strategies out there.
That makes a lot of sense. Retailers are always looking to find a level of profitability, or at least not lose their shirts on digital commerce, because as we all know, cost to serve an online customer is more than it is to serve an in-store customer. But finding profitability is never as simple as implementing and turning the platform on and walking away. It takes, as you said, fine-tuning, optimization. Is there one area that grocers tend to overlook or don't necessarily appreciate as much as they should in doing that fine-tuning?
Yeah, let me dig into that. But first, I want to go on record as saying, it's a misnomer that you can't make money in e-commerce. You can. You absolutely can. We've seen it happen before. it takes, an understanding of the operation. It takes some volume, and it takes, kind of this crawl, walk, run approach. But in this space, you absolutely can get to profitability. If I was to pinpoint one area that I think is often overlooked, it's the pick path and optimizing that in-store routing. You think about this, Mark. If you were to take a trip and you were to go somewhere and you were to put an address into your GPS, you're going to get this, this output of, take this route. And it's usually the most direct route, and it tells you it's going to take you X amount of hours and minutes to get there. That's no different than in the store, right? You can't spend too much time crossing the store and going back and forth. You really have to optimize and maximize that. From a retailer standpoint, you have to think about footsteps in terms of dollars. Every step you take is actually a cost. It's a labor cost to you. So really maximizing the efficiency of this pick path and this in-store routing is going to help with the profitability. 70% of a picker's time will actually be traversing the store and constructing that order. So the more that you can streamline that approach, the better your profitability is going to become over time. So that's why we advise our retail partners. Take time to familiarize pickers with the store layout. Provide them with the tools necessary to really map this out in an efficient route and reach products as quickly and with the least amount of effort as possible.
Yeah, and that's great advice. And I think there's other methods too to optimize this part of the fulfillment process. Because as I understand it, a lot of operational expenses are absorbed by this specific part of the process. Is that right?
That's correct. I mean, definitely. Once you understand the routing optimization, you can begin to look at other ways to fine tune this. It's a fine science. Multi or batch picking is the way that I would first lean into if I was a retailer. The ability to take multiple orders and pick them at one time is really going to minimize those steps across the store. So kind of think of like this is carpooling for groceries, right? So if you were trying to get a group of people to one place, one thing that you might consider as a carpool, putting 3 or 4 individuals into a car. No different in picking of groceries. If you have the volume, if you have the inbound orders, you can group those together in a way in which, again, it minimizes steps across the store. It allows you to pick 3, 4, 5 orders at one time and really helps, again, with the efficiency that you're looking to achieve when going after the profitability, after profitability as a metric. So
let's take that analogy up a scale. What happens when you start hitting much higher levels of volume?
Yes. So, to your point, let's extend that carpool analogy a little bit. So carpool is capable of facilitating, multiple people to one location. So when volume is at its highest, it doesn't mean that you stop carpooling, right? It means that you just have more cars on the road with more people in it. No different with grocery picking. If the volume grows and it gets to scale and you have to do, or you're in a position that you can multi-pick multiple orders with multiple pickers, that's actually ideal, right? The quicker that you can facilitate those orders, the quicker you're going to actually do 2 things. You're going to grow your business. And you asked me maybe how does that help you grow the business? Yeah. It will allow you to unlock additional capacity, right? Because you're fulfilling more orders. Then you can go back to your capacity and open up more slots. The second piece of it is because you're doing this multi-pick at one time, you are decreasing the footsteps and those dollars associated with footsteps to improve your efficiency. The challenging situation, though, that I do want to call out with that, Mark, is you really have to focus on order accuracy, because multi-picking can be challenging. And if your accuracy is incorrect, then that's going to lead to other problems.
So, and you're 100% right. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. So let's talk about that challenge around accuracy. What can retailers do to ensure that every order is being put together accurately when a volume is at its highest?
Let's just be honest here, right? If the orders are inaccurate, then the profitability is not going to matter, because you're going to have a churn of customers. Your customers are slowly going to migrate away from you to another provider who has a better customer experience. Yeah. It's vital you provide your staff with the right equipment to ensure accuracy. So you might have to have some further investment into your operational costs that you're going to have to put in place. But, using this example, a multi-picking cart is really going to be helpful. Imagine trying to construct an order, Mark, you or I trying to construct an order in a traditional grocery cart or grocery buggy and not commingling those products and keeping those separate. So if we're doing 3 orders in one grocery cart, it's going to be really, really challenging not to mix up those orders and keep the accuracy in place. So having that multi-cart, the multi-picking cart, and, again, investing in this is going to help avoid those type of errors.
Yeah, it seems as though, just in terms of what I'm hearing so far, the order picking process represents the area in which there's lots of room for operational improvements. Is that right? And if so, then are there any other tactics retailers can employ to streamline and reduce expenses here?
Yes and yes. I think we touched on this a little bit at the beginning, but retailers often underestimate what actually is possible in terms of reducing labor costs throughout the picking process. So in addition to everything we discussed so far, I would tell you bag as you go is really a critical component of this tactic that lowers the time to put the order together. So think of it this way. Every time you touch a product, it's going to take you 3 seconds. So 3 seconds to remove the product from the shelf and put it into a cart. If you take this cart back to a staging area, you may take the products back out and put on some type of staging table. That's another 3 seconds. And then your final touch is going to be bagging those. So effectively, you touched this product 3 different times, taking you 9 seconds of handling. On an average order of 32 items, that includes almost 5 minutes of simply touching products. Wow. So by minimizing touches and directly bagging products as you go, you can cut out 2/3 of that time. So over the course of around 20 orders, you're going to save yourself around 1 hour of labor that's being cut from your expense line.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Talking about saving an hour of labor is a good segue into the next topic, which is metrics. How should retailers be measuring the efficiency and ultimately the profitability of their fulfillment capabilities?